Sign of the times. Well, joining us for the papers now, Huffington Post political editor Chris Wimpress and author and historian Kate Williams. Good morning. Well, we were just discussing that it is an increasing fact of modern life, isn't it? That sort of cyberbullying, even when you're grown up, not let alone the children.
Well,
the
absolutely.
Children.
I mean, people can behave online in a way they wouldn't normally in real life. They can say things they'd never dare to. They can say all kinds of things on the internet and think that it's behind a mask of anonymity.
It doesn't actually go anywhere.
It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any impetus.
Anyway, look,
terrible.
there's no escaping the Eurozone and the crisis. And we're looking at The Guardian, first of all, what they call economic Armageddon.
Yes,
not to underplay it.
Absolutely. The Guardian's full of doom and gloom this morning. There's no cheery Christmas news here. The UK Treasury is preparing for economic Armageddon, says The Guardian, quoting Vince Cable, as the European Commission slashed its growth forecast, because our growth forecasts for the Eurozone have now gone down and predicted a recession for next year. So, yes, all rather miserable from Vince Cable here, but not really many suggestions, as in all the papers.
Yeah, I
what
mean,
can be done.
how do we actually prepare for financial Armageddon? That's the worry.
Yes,
what
getting our bomb shelters. I mean, what can we do?
Well, they won't tell you what they're going to do until they need to do it. That's the thing. I mean, people have asked the Treasury again and again.
Do they know?
That's what I was just going to say. Do you think they've got a clue?
I really hope they do.
They're
because
pretending they do.
otherwise next year is going to be a bit of a car
Otherwise,
crash.
we'll have to all get our gas masks out and cross our fingers.
I think what they're worried about is a second credit crunch.
Yes, exactly.
And how do you insulate our banking system from a potential catastrophic credit crunch affecting the whole of the European banking system, and how we stay apart from that. And I think there must be, since we've already been through one credit crunch, there must be some kind of plan and learning from the experiences of the last time.
Plan B, hopefully, yes.
Yeah.
Rather than telling us just to, save a bit less money on baked beans.
Yeah. Now, Daily Mail has got a photo of James Murdoch doing his best Marlon Brando impression, but he is actually, don't call me a mafia don. He got a bit sort of personal in the Commons yesterday.
Tom Watson did get very personal, twice actually, with mafia references during the committee hearing yesterday, but I'm afraid the papers mostly think it's Murdoch 1, MPs 0. They didn't get from him what they were hoping to get yesterday, which was an admission that he knew more about hacking than what he said.
And a bit too much grandstanding and theatre from the MPs, that they weren't being seen to do the job, and that is to try and find out what was going on.
Well, I think in the MP's defence, they're not barristers, and this is the kind of interrogation that probably is best done by a barrister, not by a Member of Parliament, whose job it is to scrutinise the government and to pass laws. And
different skills.
It is different skills, and I think Tom Watson was trying to be a bit rumpole of the Bailey yesterday, but I think if you want the job done, then you need to get a barrister in. Some MPs have actually talked about getting a QC in to do this kind of grilling.
Rumpole to the Commons instead of rumpole to the Bailey.
But it wasn't great. But I mean, Quentin Letts in the Mail is making the point that this is now so convoluted, it's difficult to see whether or not people find this interesting. I mean, who knows who Tom Crone is? Who knows who Neville Thurbeck is? I mean, only people in a fairly small bubble are following this story really closely.
OK, well, let's burst the bubble for the moment. Some of the stories we're talking about coming up next. Ooh la la. What has he gone and said now? Sarkozy making, or is it a gaffe? And a wheelie terrifying flight. What do you say when you see that out the window?
Cathay Pacific.
Yeah, indeed. Back to those papers. Kate and Chris joining us this morning. Welcome once more. And we're looking at France plotting something on the Eurozone. What's afoot?
Yes, first page of the Telegraph. France is saying au revoir, apparently, drawing up plans to create a breakaway organisation of Eurozone countries with its own treaty, so saying goodbye to the rest of them. So apparently the Romanian president is also wishing he could join and saying, we want to join, but don't laugh. But it doesn't matter because France is off. France is making its own little party of one, really, it seems, just France hanging out with France.
So not even with Germany. So it's not a sort of cosy Merkel-Sarkozy...
Lovely marriage.
Lovely
between
marriage,
the two of them.
yes, yeah.
Apparently, France is just, that's it. It feels that, it really has had enough. But at the same time, as we've been learning from the papers, France could be the next nation to be embroiled in a currency crisis. So it's
right.
Dominoes,
Here's your A-level
together.
economics question. What happens if they all try to go back to their own currencies? The franc, Deutschmark, drachma, lira. Is it a possibility?
I think it's got to be massive inflation, hasn't it?
It would cause absolute chaos. I mean, it is doable. There's nothing to stop them from doing it. I mean, they can go back to their old currencies. It will just cost hundreds and hundreds of billions of euros. I mean, it'll probably cost over €1 trillion for France to do that. I'm not sure if they want to do that.
But I guess, well, yeah, but is it going to cost them less in the long run in terms of getting growth in the economy than staying in the euro? That's the question that they're going to have to start looking at.
Well, I mean, France, like Germany, has benefited from the kind of weaker exchange rates that it's had from being linked with the other countries. So it's going to be a lot less competitive if it comes out of the eurozone.
Or you could just invest in precious metals, as the Times reflects. scrap dealers facing a curb over all these cable thefts.
This is a problem that successive governments have just failed to get to grips with, and it's something that Labour is complaining about now, but actually the problem was rising and rising under Labour, and it seems as though the coalition wants to look at it, but they haven't even made a start. Meanwhile, the number of delays on the trains because of cable theft specifically has risen massively over the last year. You've got war memorials being desecrated, you've got church roofs having the metal taken off, and it is a major problem, and the thing is, it's affecting so many different bits of life, and it needs a cross-departmental approach to deal with it, and they haven't even got started. But I think the newspapers, with the media, are just starting to wake up to the fact that it's been going on for ages, and
the damage it's doing to infrastructure.
There's an amazing statistic here: nearly £50,000 caused by the delays and repairs by 140 cable being stolen. That's it.
On to the Mail and the realities of being a service wife, perhaps coming to hit the Duchess of Cambridge.
Yes.
Is it after Christmas? He's
after
off to
Christmas. William's 6 weeks in the Falklands, but Kate is left at home. So there's lots of pictures in the newspapers today of the Duchess of Cambridge looking marvellous. I mean, as the Mail says in their opening part, she could have been Aphrodite herself in her gown. But poor old Kate's going to be left at home while William goes off to the Falklands on duty.
Yeah.
But hopefully she'll be able to celebrate her 30th birthday with him in January.
All right, but I mean, I'm sure she's got one or two charity events to fill in the diary.
And the odd chum as well.
Yeah.
Hanging out with the Queen.
Now, this extraordinary photo in the Sun. I don't want to worry, but a wheel's just come off.
This is there are only certain kinds of planes where you can actually see the wheels out of the wing. Usually, obviously, they're underneath, so you don't really notice. But I think, you know, if you're a nervous flyer, this is the sort of thing that would make it very difficult for you to ever get in an aeroplane ever again. I just wonder whether anyone who's kind of in that window seat right next to it would actually
I mean, it's just
want to get in
horrifying.
again.
At least there's another wheel on there, so you've got one wheel on your wagon, as the old song used to go. But they landed safely. That's the extraordinary thing.
The plane landed safely. Actually, I think, you know, it's people who... a friend of mine actually was in a larger plane which his undercarriage completely failed, and they had to do a belly landing.
No wheels at all?
No, and it was absolutely fine. So the planes can land, and she actually told me that afterwards she thought, well, it's happened to me once, so the chances of me being in that kind of incident again are so low that I'm actually a more confident flyer now.
Yeah, I think
belly flop.
Yeah, they land on a carpet of foam, don't they? Sounds like fun, actually. And very quickly, let's just last thought on the Euro. Sarkozy and his assessment of the Greeks and how they've dealt with things.
Well, fabulous. Well, it looks like now we haven't got Berlusconi to give us gaffes anymore. Now we've got Sarkozy instead. And here he is, an overheard private conversation with Barack Obama calling the Greek Prime Minister a madman. So not conducive to friendship there.
Just before he leaves the Euro.
Exactly.
Yeah, excellent.
Goodbye, you madman.
On that note, yeah, au revoir indeed. Thank you very much indeed for that. What about the back page of the papers? Charlie, what are we looking at there?
Well, we'll be hoping the wheels don't fall